Today we're talking about Dracula. This is honestly the first book I read all the way through when I was a child. I tried reading the Bible. It gets kind of boring by the time you get to Leviticus and Deuteronomy. I tried reading the Iliad. Couldn't get through it. There were probably some other attempts. This right here. Oh, I love this book. For a very long time, this was my favorite book. And the movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula, was my favorite, or sometimes second favorite movie, right under the 1988 Transformers movie. So, what I want to talk about here. The story of Dracula, as it is related in the book versus the movie. The book has some minor characters and some very long dry spells. I recently was talking about Carmilla, and Carmilla is a much more exciting book. It flows much smoother. It's much tighter in the narrative. But Dracula, when Dracula is on screen or on the page, and when Madame Mina is on the page, is an amazing book. Yeah, there are dry spots. There's the zookeeper. There's the storyline with the escaped wolf. There's the logs of the Demeter. There's a lot of boring stuff, and there's also a subplot that gets missed in a lot of Dracula lore, which is that Madame Mina is a journalist, represents feminism. And another thing, and this actually, someone got testy about it in my Carmilla review, is that what they called the teeth war between the Catholics and the Anglicans, represented by the Calvinists, in the area of Ireland where these books were written, influenced the writers of Carmilla and Dracula respectively. And in here, it's interesting because it has a lot of the only thing effective against Dracula is Catholicism, which is they look at it as mythology and as magic, and yet it's the only thing effective against the monster. And anyone who's read Dracula knows that it's a story against the stranger, it's against the other. But there is a subversive way of reading the text where it could be pro the other. It's both a warning and an invitation. It's really clever in that way. You know, there are some terrible adaptations of Dracula. There's terrible interpretations. And it's hard to look at the character without thinking of the historical inspiration of Vlad Tepes and just how much Bram Stoker knew about Tepes at the time. And these are all interesting questions. And let's give a quick summary. So Jonathan Hawker goes to Romania, Transylvania, and helps procure properties for a strange older gentleman. Jonathan thinks of the traditions of Catholics as being superstitious, which is kind of the opposite of the way that Carmilla looked at those same practices. Said you get the Three Sisters, you get a lot of Elizabethan and Shakespearean influences in here, in Dracula. So anyway, Jonathan procures these properties. Then he finds out, after writing some letters, that Dracula is a vampire. And the story begins from there. Then you get a lot of build-up. You have the Romanian people turning against Dracula. And specifically after Dracula kidnaps a small child to feed to the three weird sisters, the locals turn on him. So he escapes to England. And the romance is not there. It's not a romance story in the book version. It's horror. And he seduces Lucy. Lucy then becomes a vampire. At first, Quincy and her husband and the doctor can't believe it's a vampire until Van Helsing gets involved and takes them to the cemetery and sees where she's been interned, and she sees her eating a baby. And they save the baby, and the next day they come back in and they have a fight. They found out about the strength, but super strength aside, there's not really a lot of action in this book. Dracula is a mist. He's a ghost. He's not really involved in the story. The story really is about the destruction and temptation of a soul. Lucy's, to be exact. And then the story repeats with Madame Mina. But with Madame Mina, there's a difference. She's a good person, and so she doesn't give into the temptation so easily, yet she is still marked unclean for a significant portion of the novel. But through her efforts in journalism and through her diaries and through her compiling and her efforts in research, they find out who Dracula is and they kill him. And they kill him with a Bowie knife. And then the story continues on where Madame Mina and Jonathan Harker have a child and they live happily ever after. I love Dracula. I love the book. I love the story. It's nowhere near as good as I remembered it when I was a kid. But if you rewatch the movie, it's great. If you read the book, it's entertaining. You're not going to be too bored. I think between the ages of 15 and 18 is the exact right time to read Dracula. You get a little bit older and it's not going to be as interesting. Surprisingly, or different, or just to contrast it, Frankenstein is the other way. You shouldn't be reading Frankenstein when you're 13 or 15. It's going to bore you to death. But as an adult, Frankenstein is amazing. As an adult, Dracula is still kind of cool, but not as great. You might get a bigger thrill from Carmilla. So it might no longer be my favorite book of all time. It might no longer be my favorite movie of all time. But it's still in my top 10. Go read Dracula. Go watch the movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and have yourselves a great night. Peace.